Am I the butthole for throwing water on a kid who kept doing ding-dong ditch? Due to job opportunities, we recently moved to a new neighborhood. While most things were going fairly smoothly, at around 4 p.m. we'd hear a couple of knocks on our door. And when we went to see who it was, to our surprise, there was nobody there. It was only until a couple of weeks later that we thought there could be a possibility of someone doing ding-dong ditch. We just never thought about it because everyone here seemed really relaxed, so ding-dong ditch never crossed our minds. As to not resort to any extreme measures, we put up a sign near the door saying, "Please don't trouble the people inside by doing these silly pranks," which didn't work. Since it didn't work, we resorted to asking people about it, but all I got was that this was some sort of tradition for kids in the neighborhood to do this to new people in the area. This kind of irked me because ding-dong ditch is really annoying, so I set up a camera inside our house to capture who was outside our door. After reviewing the footage multiple times, I was able to confirm that it was some brat who was a couple of meters away. I went to speak to his parents, but they laughed it off saying kids will be kids. So I decided that I would do something about it myself. After 3 days, the kid came back, but I was hiding behind an unlocked door with a large water bucket. As soon as he knocked and turned, I opened the door and splashed him with water. I thought that was that, but the kid's parents came over not even 10 minutes later, demanding to know why I soaked their kid in water. I tried to justify my reasoning, but to no avail. I'm conflicted and feel like a butthole because I used a petty way of getting that kid to stop annoying us. I would love to hear your opinions on this as well. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. The kid fucked around and he found out. I'll give the kid 1 out of 5 buttholes, and I'll give the parents 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Besides, I don't know why they're so angry. It's just a prank, bro! Am I the butthole for leaving my boyfriend stranded at a party for making a joke? I'm a 19-year-old girl, and I've been with my boyfriend, who's 25, for about 6 months. We don't live together, but I spend a lot of my time at his place. A week or so ago, I was feeling quite sick. Not wanting to drive home, I spent the night at his place. He woke me up at about 5 a.m., and to my great embarrassment, I had wet the bed. I helped him clean up the best I could. I had a temperature of about 103.8 degrees Fahrenheit, and he took me to the hospital. They kept me overnight. Also, for context, 103 degrees Fahrenheit is about 39 degrees Celsius. A few days later when I saw him again, I apologized for what happened. He told me it's alright and that he got me a gift. He pulled out a package of adult diapers and threw them at me. I told him that I didn't think that it was very funny and explained that I was embarrassed, but he thought that it was hilarious. I decided to let it go and talk about it later. We went to a party that night. Not really a party, just us and 6 other friends about an hour away. I drove since he doesn't have a car. After he had a few beers, he started loudly telling them what had happened, forgetting to mention that I was sick and had a high fever. Just the part about me wetting the bed and him buying me diapers. He encouraged my friends to joke about it, and after I tried to explain the situation, but they talked over me and laughed at me, I just left and went home. My boyfriend is obviously quite upset that I left without him. I just didn't want to be stuck in a car with him for an hour. He sent me several texts since then, most of which are calling me too sensitive and not able to take a joke. Some of my friends agree with him. Am I the butthole? OP, guess it, this is probably the most you have ever needed your boyfriend's help. I mean, unless your boyfriend pulled you from a burning vehicle. My guess is that you running 104-degree fever is pretty much the most you have ever had to rely on him because you were seriously ill. And yeah, he took you to the hospital. But after that, he chose to mock your illness, to mock this vulnerable position that you were in, and tease you about it publicly in front of other people? What? Keep in mind, OP, that one of the most common vows for marriage is in sickness and in health. Clearly, your boyfriend has no interest in respecting you if you get sick. So, do you really want to be married to that guy? Why keep him around as a boyfriend? OP, it's important to understand that your boyfriend wasn't making a joke. He was just straight up humiliating you. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your boyfriend 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my boyfriend's roommate to get over himself after he told me to stop having sleepovers at the apartment? So, I've been with my boyfriend for 4 months. He has a roommate, Justin, who's a bit of a self-righteous jerk sometimes. The problem started when I started having sleepovers with my boyfriend in the apartment. Justin looked super annoyed whenever he saw me over, which is 5 days a week. He'd just keep huffing and puffing and speak to me rudely. He said nothing until yesterday when he got back and found me and started a fight with me, telling me to stop having sleepovers. I asked him, "What the F is your problem?" And he looked at me and with a straight face said, "If you're gonna come over here and use water, electricity, and whatnot 5 days a week, then you might as well start paying rent." I responded telling him that my boyfriend pays rent and I use what he uses, then called him rude and told him to get over himself. He told me that he'll get the landlord involved, and my boyfriend asked me to leave so he could talk to Justin. I grabbed my stuff and left, feeling awful. My boyfriend later called, saying that I was rude in what I said, And he said that his roommate did have a point, especially since I'm using everything in the apartment, from the microwave, shower, charger, and so on. So his roommate felt that it was unfair. And my boyfriend asked me to tune down my visits for now. We had an argument after I said that he sided with his roommate over me to keep the peace, and I ended the call. We haven't talked since then. Am I the butthole? Did I go too far? Yeah, OP, honestly, you are the butthole. This isn't your apartment, it is Justin's apartment. And Justin, theoretically, is paying half of all those utilities. So when you come over and spend all that time basically racking up his utility bill, then he has to foot the payments. Also, if you're over there 5 days a week, you're effectively just living there. Honestly, that's an imposition because Justin agreed to have his current roommate as his one roommate. He didn't agree to have 2 roommates. Also, I'm not like sitting here with a copy of your lease, OP, but I am 99.9% certain that you are in complete violation of your lease. Well, not you, but your boyfriend is. Pretty much every single landlord has some sort of clause in the contract that says that you can't just have someone literally move into the house and live there 5 days out of the week. I mean, maybe you've got a really chill landlord who doesn't care or your contract doesn't specify that, but in pretty much every single apartment that I've ever rented, they have some sort of paragraph that says that people can come over and stay like a couple of nights per month. So, OP, if Justin decides to get the landlord involved, then there's a pretty good chance that your boyfriend will get evicted for violating the lease, because I'm pretty sure he is violating the lease. OP, you really need to get a grip. You're just not having sleepovers, you're living there. OP, I'm giving you 2 out of 5 buttholes. I will say that even though Justin is right, I have to give him like 0.5 out of 5 buttholes, because the way that you described this story, it sounds like he was kind of like passive-aggressive about it from the beginning, which is not really the best way to handle it. What he should have done once it started bothering him was to take his roommate aside and be like, hey, look, your girlfriend's over a lot, it's bothering me because of XYZ, either address it or have your girlfriend stop coming over so often. He shouldn't have argued with you, because it's not really your position to fix, it's the boyfriend's position to fix because he's the roommate, right? So for all the passive-aggressive jerkiness, I'll give him like 0.5 out of 5 buttholes. But make no mistake, OP, you're the one in the wrong here. And don't get upset at your boyfriend for, oh, you're taking his side over mine? Girl, you're wrong. He should take his side over yours. Oh man, this gets better. I went into this girl's comments to see if she made any reply in the post, and someone asks, can your boyfriend stay at your place sometimes? And OP replies, I can't since I live with 2 other girls who have a strict rule against having boyfriends over. OP, how do you not see the hypocrisy here? You can't have your boyfriend over because of your roommates, but your boyfriend's roommate has to be okay with you being over literally 5 days a week and paying no rent, paying no utilities, not buying any groceries? Like, what? Get over yourself, OP. That alone, just the sheer hypocrisy, the blindness to your own situation is gonna make me increase the butthole score from, what did I say, 2 out of 5? Yeah, you're getting upgraded. Yeah, you're getting upgraded to 3 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for kissing my husband at a friend's event? What? For kissing your husband? I don't even need to read this story, OP. No, obviously you're not the butthole for kissing your husband in pretty much any scenario. I guess if someone is dying in front of you and you decide to make out with your husband. But let's go ahead and read the story anyways. I'm a 37-year-old woman and my husband is 42. We attended the annual barbecue last weekend of my friend Becky, who's 36. Becky and I have been close friends since college. I met my husband shortly after graduating, and while him and Becky have never really been close, such as hanging out without me, they've always been friendly toward one another, and we've all hung out together on numerous occasions. Becky recently lost her husband due to a medical issue, and we've all been devastated. This year, Becky texted me the day before her event and told me that she was making this year's occasion a child-free one, and that meant that I couldn't bring my 3-year-old, and she understood if I couldn't make it. I bit my tongue in an effort to be respectful and thanked her for letting me know, and I told her that, indeed, I wouldn't be able to make it. She responded by saying that she was looking forward to seeing my husband at dinner, though. I saw no issue with this and sent her a thumbs up. The next morning was the day of Becky's event, and my mother-in-law luckily agreed to babysit our toddler. We thanked my mother-in-law and headed over to Becky's with food, gifts, and no children in tow. As we walked in, Becky greeted my husband with a hug and an excited, hello, and then me with a sort of surprised look on her face. She didn't say much to me, and she went into her living room with everybody else. I went to put down food on the counter while she introduced everybody to my husband and referred to him as dear. My husband told me about this later on in the evening. I walked into the room, and she gave me no mind since she was deep in conversation with a friend of hers. Sometime into the party, Becky and my husband were both standing at the patio door, and she had her arm around his waist. He spotted me and looked at me with a "help me" glare, so I made my way over thinking she had one too many. I gave my husband a kiss as he separated from her grasp. Becky looked at the both of us, and then back at the others at the party with a shocked expression, and then ran back into the house crying. She ran into the bedroom and locked the door, and screamed at me to leave through the door. I tried asking her what had upset her and why she wanted us to leave numerous times. She refused to answer me and just kept crying. So we left, and on the way out, we received some pretty dirty looks from the other partygoers. Later, I received texts from several mutual friends who scolded me for my public display of affection and how Becky was so upset that I made her party look tacky, and that I was rubbing it in her face that she was a widow. I was so shocked and hurt to hear this, and I mentioned that every other couple at the event was also being relatively affectionate, and that despite my husband and I not being the only ones to commit PDA in public, I had given him a side hug and a pet kiss, and that was all. Anyways, I'm a loss at what I should do. I feel like I hurt a close friend, but I'm not sure how and what I can do to fix it.